kid that you had as a baby?
Yeah.
I forgot. That's what I pictured the day of her as little.
Hello and welcome to a new reading vlog. So for this week, well, this time frame, I always say this week, but it's never normally 7 days unless it's a what do I realistically read in a week challenge. For this vlog, I decided to do a 24-hour readathon. I do the timer method because if I stayed awake for 24 hours, I would die. I wouldn't die, but I would feel like I wanted to die. I just don't have the body for that anymore, my dudes. So 24-hour timer it is. I think I probably will take 3 to 4 days to complete this because I just have quite a few social events on over the next couple of days. So that is the aim. 6 hours a day, hopefully, to get it done within 4 at least. I have already started reading. So this morning I did read for 1 hour and I got quite a few things already done. So for the first 20 minutes, I read Nayra and the Djinn. So this is a beautifully illustrated middle grade graphic novel, or YA graphic novel, maybe perhaps. I'll show you some pictures up above. I decided to give this 3 stars, once again, up. So this is a story about a young Muslim girl who is going through Ramadan and is facing a lot of bullying at school, who is not being understood or being treated compassionately by her family, and he's also going through some friendship issues with her best friend. And then one day she encounters a djinn, which is like a genie, and that djinn is telling her the stories of their homeland and sort of the friendship troubles that they're having. And where this fell apart really was the execution of the plot line. The narrative was confusing, it wasn't well done, and it just felt like it was a whole bunch of unraveled yarns that just couldn't get themselves into a neat bow, you know. So for me, the story was a bit unpolished, and therefore the resolutions to the story's problems were also weak. It wasn't really brought together very well. So that was Nayra and the Djinn. But like I said, I'm not the target audience, and the illustrations are beautiful. And it was nice to see some representation of different cultures. And I'm quite shocked to see that in this book, I'm guessing this is set in America, the teachers were not very compassionate, empathetic towards Nayra fasting for Ramadan, obviously in the consequences of doing that on her body and on her energy, especially in regards to participating in physical education. I don't see why they couldn't allow her to, you know, rest a bit and not have to put in the same amount of effort that all the other students are putting in who are not fasting. So I don't know if that's the norm over there. I don't think it would be that way here. I'm not sure because I'm not Muslim and I don't fast for Ramadan, but I'm sure hopefully in Australia, PE teachers would give those kids, you know, a bit of a break, hopefully. But obviously a lot of things about racism in here, a lot of racist remarks said by other kids at the school. The next book that I picked up is The New Me by Hallie Butler, and I DNF'd this after 55 pages. So I spent 20 minutes reading and I got 55 pages read in that time. Oh, and this one was 247 pages read. I will tally everything up at the end to see how many pages I read in a day and how many hours. This, it's legitimately tedious. So it talks about a woman who's white, who's working as a temp in an office job, and the mundanity and mediocrity of that, the repetitiveness of it. But that's what the whole book is like as well. There's no nuance to it. The main character is so incredibly dull and she's just doing dull things. And so the whole book just feels like drudgery to read. I was waiting for some kind of weirdness to come through, a twist or a change in narrative, but no, 55 pages in and it was still the same. So I went and looked up some reviews and a lot of people did say that they were just thoroughly bored by this. And there was nothing interesting. It kind of reminds me of the book Ripe, which is about another woman's experience in corporate America and with consumerism and the ridiculous work-life balance and being part of a cog in the corporate wheel. That was well done and the writing was phenomenal, whereas the writing in this I didn't like. It was a bit odd, it was a bit weird, it was confusing too. It wasn't clear in the way that it was written. I just think this was not a fit for me. Some people might really love this, but this is I think hinging mostly upon the writing style. If you really love the writing style, you'll read the book. But because the writing style and I didn't get along, there was nothing else plot-wise, character-wise, pacing-wise, that world building, nothing that was keeping me invested. So I did decide to DNF this after 55 pages. For the last 20 minutes, I started reading this. This is called the Synching Handbook by Angie Marie. I am about halfway through. It's definitely like a workbook. I'll show you what I mean. So at the end of the chapters, you've got like questions to answer there. There are lists and recommendations of things to do. So it's going along the premise of a woman's cycle being 4 different seasons: winter, summer, autumn, spring, and recommending what you can do during that time, what's happening in your body at that time. I have read a lot of books on women's cycles and seasons and cycle syncing, so this isn't my first foray into this. I'm not loving it. The writing style is very simple and a bit pedestrian. The author likes to refer to the readers as menstruators. I'm like, bro, I get that you're trying to make a quippy nickname, but menstruators, I just feel like it's a term for someone in data analysis. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. So I do cringe whenever she opens a paragraph with "so menstruators." I'm like, no, I'm opting out of that group. I'm not going to be part of that band. So yeah, at the moment there is nothing new for me that I've picked up from this. Maybe if you just want to get a very surface level, easy, light dip into what cycle syncing is and what the different phases of your menstrual cycle mean in terms of biology and also energy load. Look, there was one thing that I did appreciate, which is manage your energy and not your time. So play to your energy for that day rather than a to-do list and sort of societal standards to always be productive and on 100% of the time. And as someone too who is a spoonie, it's something that's how I live my life. Even though by nature, it's that Aries rising in me, I like to get things done immediately and to go, 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 go. And back when I didn't have chronic health conditions, that's what I was like, because I had a vast amount of energy. So I could do just whatever I wanted in that day, and I could go by a list that I'd structured for myself. Whereas these days it is, what's my energy levels today? How many spoons do I have? And like, you know, so on the day I have 10 spoons, boom, like everything I want to get done, I will get done. I will work out to the best of my ability. And then on a day I have 2 spoons, it's like, well, I need to manage and conserve that. What's priority today and leave the rest? You know, what's going to be the biggest bang for my buck? Because I also mentioned the Pareto principle, which is 20% of what you do gives you 80% of the value. So focus on the core things that actually give you the biggest bang for your buck than trying to spread your energy across a dozen eggs. Focus on the 2 that are going to give you the biggest reward. So I do appreciate that, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to love this. I'm going to just finish it because it's so easy to read. And like most of it is, infographics and things like that. So we'll see how we go. Besides that, I think the next book that I'm going to pick up is this one. This is called The Gorgon Flower by John Richard. So this is a bunch of short stories, and the cover is what got me with this. It says it's Gothic inspired collection of stories with settings that range from rural France to medieval Italy to 19th century Borneo. So I have no idea what it's going to be like, but I'll definitely give it a go and clock how many hours I read today. Besides that, I'm going out today with my mum and my kids. So today we're doing the Mother's Day / birthday day for my mum because she is about to turn 59. So we're just combining the 2 activities, and I'm taking everybody out to the Melbourne tea rooms for some high tea, and then to Spellbox, which is sort of a witchcraft supply store, and then to, I think it's Dimmicks because it's right next door. So we're going to the Block Arcade, which is a really famous arcade in Melbourne, and I'm just going into the stores that are there. But I will see you guys when I return. zoom in after I take the video, darling. Okay, so we are back. We had a fantastic time. So first we went to the tea rooms in Melbourne, which is gorgeous, very aesthetic, very Victorian tea parlour, and the high tea was fantastic. Would definitely go again. And then we went to the Spell Box, and it's a cute little store. You can spin and find out your fortune. So the two that I got was the Oracle of Liberation. So they all have corresponding spells to go with it. And a family blessing from the Brownies. The kids also bought some items from there. So Indy got this wand and the book of cat magic, and my eldest kiddo got some earrings. And then we went to Dimmicks, which is a big chain bookstore in Australia, and I got this cat tote, and I got the kids and my mum all to pick a book just based on the cover. So they picked the cover that spoke to them the most. I'm going to do a reading vlog to that to see which of us picked the actual best book. So that'll be fun. That'll be upcoming. Indy also got this. So this is an illustrated version of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It has a linen finish cover. It's embossed as well. And it is stunning. So these are the end papers. So not only is it illustrated, there are also all of these little like paper playthings, I guess you would call them. So it's full of things, like there's some cardboard cutouts here of a spinner, and there's like wardrobes to go into, but it's also illustrated, so it's quite stunning. Like, look at that. That's gorgeous. I know I'm not doing a good job. It's massive, but look at these guys. Look at that. And then you open it up and it pops out. So we're going to have a lot of fun reading this one. So that was her choice. I've got some tissue paper in there that's coming out. I don't even know how much this was. There was no sticker on it, so I'll have to check the receipt and see how much I ended up spending on this. So she got that. She also got some cat socks. Look, you can see the iPhone shadow on me. And some bubble tea, which I'll take out. It's a squishy. It's one of these things. Squish, 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 squish. And I got this because it reminded me of Bluebell, or Bubbles as we like to call her. So it is a cat noodle bowl. And we had a great time. So I got some stuff for my mum too, obviously, and big kiddo picked a book and a boba bubble tea. I hope that's not really loud in the background. I haven't done any more reading. We just got home, but I thought I'd show you our goodies from the day, and I'm excited to do this vlog next after I finish this. How many hours do I read? It even has a zip on it.
So it's no one steals. And this sounds so good when it shakes.
So I'll see you guys later. Good morning. So yesterday I read for another 20 minutes. So in that 20 minutes, I read a further like 90 or so pages of this. I'll put the stats up above once I've done the math. And I finished this book. So like I said previously, I think if it's your first time learning about cycle syncing and the fertility awareness method and your reproductive system, this is great. It's very accessible. It's easy to read because the language is so simple and straightforward. Obviously, it's got the workbook component in here so that it is interactive in that way. I think it's a fantastic introduction. I've read a lot of books about periods and cycle syncing and the fertility awareness method, which is what I personally use. So I wasn't enamored with it because it was just a bit too pedestrian for me, but I think this is a great introduction for people, very accessible. So that was the Cycle Syncing Handbook. Today I'm going out with my girlfriend for brunch. I might be taking my kids out too. We're going to play it by ear because yesterday was a very, very long day for us, but I hope to get more reading in. Otherwise, I'd say Monday, Tuesday are going to be my massive days to get this 24-hour readathon done and dusted. Like I said previously, I'm going to start with the Gorgon Flower, which is a collection of Gothic short stories, and grab whatever else floats my boat, but I will see you guys later.
I went with Ruby, and then I loved it. I've been using it on my face.
I don't know how trash this is. If this is trash, I won't film at nighttime again. But I ended up listening for 1 hour to Wifedom. So this is a nonfiction book that is about George Orwell's wife. That's Bubbles trying to get into a bag. Let me just get that off there. Babes, I know it's fun, but no. And it was meant to be about the fact that, you know, she's invisible. She hasn't been heard of, even though she has accolades in her own right, and how she sort of disappeared by being the wife of a famous author. I decided to DNF it after 1 hour because even though the book was meant to be about the wife, I still felt like all of the energy and the focus was on George Orwell. And surprise, surprise, he was a shitty husband. Unfaithful, took his wife for granted. I don't think that comes as a shock to anybody. The author also had a lot of her voice in it. So we'll do one chapter which was meant to be from George's wife's voice, and then the next chapter would be her voice and her story and how she was always a fan of George Orwell's work, and then she was reading through all these letters that his wife wrote. But I don't know, like I said, I felt like it was more about her and George than the wife. So the wife was still very invisible. And the issue I had too was that a lot of it was just assumptions. Like she was speculating, really. There's not a lot of fact in terms of, besides the letters, how George really felt or what their relationship was really like. So she was just taking guesses and assuming. And so it just felt too speculative for me. And like I said, I didn't feel like I was getting much of a, no, stop, leave that alone, much of a feel for George's wife as a person. Anyway, that's Bubs. She's trying to get this back because my beautiful cousin went to Olinda and brought me back a smorgasbord of stuff. I'll put some footage in here of all of the goodies she got me. It's so sweet. This is what I mean. As much as I would love a romantic partner, I am blessed with all the other relationships in my life, and I'm spoiled by the people who love me and whom I love in return. So thank you very much, my darling, for giving me all those beautiful, beautiful things today. Totally unexpected. It was a very surprise drop in. And then I've been reading this one. So I read 45 minutes and I've read up to, so what's this? 154, page 154. So there's only been 2 stories thus far. The first one was quite short and it was a bit interesting. It was called A Fall from Grace. And basically it's a world where you get 5 interventions from these beings or whatever they are that monitor your life, and they intervene if they think that you're making a mistake that could negatively impact the rest of your life. So you get 5 total, and with this man who's about to get his 5th one, and he isn't even 50 years old yet, and they normally don't like to use the last intervention until a person's definitely in their 50s, because after that point the way their life turns out is completely up to that human being. So it was a very interesting premise, and all of these things were going on. It was quite tech speaky, because they were speaking like they were part of an organization that has different departments, and there was issues with the departments not sharing information with each other in regards to the interventions, and other interventions ended up superseding the intervention that they were trying to make on their individual person because someone else's life had a choice that they needed to have stopped that affected them. It was confusing, but I didn't mind it. I'd probably give it a 3.5 out of 5. However, the next book, The Gorgon Flower, which was written sort of as journal excerpts from this explorer botanist who was in hunt of the Gorgon flower that his father had previously found and brought back to England or wherever, America, no, it's probably England, Lord Tobias, from Borneo. But the plant and his father burned down in this accident. And so he's trying to find another one to bring it back. But sorry about that, Blue totally knocked it down. This flower is a carnivorous flower and has a lot of ramifications, but it went for so long, I wouldn't even call it a short story. So let's see, it starts on page 41 and goes to 151. It's a 110 page story. That's I won't call that like a short story, to be honest. It's like a novella, to be honest. And I didn't love it. It was a bit gross. Very male view centric. So there was sex stuff that came into play. There was a lot of violence. There was a lot of selfishness and ego and callousness, not concerned for the life of anybody around him or for the wishes of the Indigenous community. of the area that they were going through to try and find these gorgon flowers. It didn't do anything for me at all. I really didn't like the story. So I don't know if I want to keep going, because the next short story once is, 50 pages, and then there's just one more after that. So I don't know, do I keep going or do I stop? There's only 2 stories left. I guess what I might do is I'll give 10 pages. I'll give it 10 pages, and if I don't like it, I'll go into the last short story and I'll do the same thing, because I feel like, with short stories, you don't know, they're so different. Like the first 2 stories were so different to each other. I wouldn't call either of them gothic. I guess the gorgon flower a little bit. The first story was very sci-fi, dystopian, I guess, speculative fiction, kind of. I might do a bit more, because now that my cousin's gone, I've got some alone time again. What's that? A bowl of raspberries on the floor. I'll let you know how it goes. So I'll spend 20 more minutes max, I think, on this, reading 20 pages or so. Oh, no, I don't know how much time. So I'll read 10 more pages and decide and report back, and then 10 more pages and decide and report back. We'll see how we go if I complete the whole book. But at the moment, I guess if I average the score from the first 2, it's like a 2.5 star, and I'd rather not push through and rate this a 2.5 star.
Good morning, guys. I feel like trash. I think I chose the worst possible string of days in a row to do a 24-hour challenge. It was just too much socializing on the weekend. I got almost no reading done. And as you can even hear from my voice, I'm having a flare up because, too much socializing and going out in a row, it depletes me. So I am feeling it today, the ramifications of my very social weekend. I did do some more reading tomorrow. I'll put the total number of hours and pages and books that I read yesterday up on the screen. So I did end up doing another 10 pages of each of the remaining stories in this one. This is not for me. I ended up skipping to the end of them too, and I just found all of the plot twists were very predictable. There was nothing really revelatory or twisty or anything like that you could see them coming. And the stories, the writing style and the characters weren't really for me. I would say this is also very male-centric. So it's definitely more from a man's perspective in terms of the characters in the stories. But yes, this definitely doesn't feel like Gothic inspired whatsoever. It was leaning way more sci-fi. So I did end up DNFing this one. Then I picked up Happily Never After by Lynn Painter. So this is a book about wedding objectors, and it starts off with a woman named Sophie who hires a man named Max to object to her wedding, because if she calls off the wedding, her fiance's father will fire her dad. So this way she gets out of it, because her fiance was a cheating scumbag anyway. And then after the wedding, Max comes back and says, I need a female objector for this redneck wedding. It pays $4,000. So being a wedding objector is a very lucrative business. Now, it starts off by saying Max looks like Henry Cavill. And for me, Henry Cavill is God tier. I would say my 3 God tier men are Henry Cavill, Damiano David, and Loki. And my 3 God tier women would be Monica Bellucci, Eva Green, and Angelina Jolie. So when that's like, oh, it looks exactly like Henry Cavill, I'm like, okay now, all right, that's a point. That's when the book peaked, pretty much right at the beginning. So for me, I've enjoyed Lynn Painter's other books. I think Better Than the Movies was my favorite. This was just lacking chemistry between the two. He kept telling her to like settle down, calm down, and I'm pretty sure there's a million memes out there letting men know, maybe don't tell your woman to calm down, to settle down. To be cool, Yolanda.
And that's what we're gonna be. We're gonna be cool.
So I didn't like their banter, and their relationship dynamic was just not doing it for me. And it just felt a bit, I don't know, a bit silly, the whole wedding objector thing and how much money they were getting paid to do it. And yeah, it just, everything felt OTT, which I think is the case a lot of the time with Lynn Painter books, but this one, I wasn't feeling it. You know, it was giving 3 stars for me, so I decided to DNF it, because also it says it's hilarious, and it was definitely attempting humor. I won't say tempting. It was funny, it just wasn't my kind of funny. You know, I could say, oh, she's making a joke and a pun, and none of it was landing for me, so this was just a case of we didn't vibe. and I object to reading any more of it. I'm going to try and pep myself up for you for the rest of the video. I don't want to be bringing Eeyore energy into the vlogs, but I have so much work to do. It is a Monday and that's the busiest time. Market's opening after the weekend and I have to make all the appointments and do all the phone calls and all the life admin. So I'm thinking I'm going to be doing audiobooks for most of today while I'm sat at my desk, just so I can get some more hours. And I really would love to finish this off tomorrow, but it might not be possible. I'll try my best. But luckily last night, I was in bed with extreme insomnia. So I've had insomnia since I was 14. It's chronic. I've been to sleep specialists, sleep labs, all the thing, have had everything prescribed. Nothing works well that also doesn't have other horrible side effects for me. But the last 4 days have been a lot. I've only gotten about 3 hours sleep, so I'm just wide awake, wired until about 2 in the morning, and then I'll get 3 hours sleep and I'll be up. So I think that, along with all of the socializing, has really obliterated all of my spoons, and I'm going to have to focus on a lot of self-care today in terms of nourishment and what I can do to minimize the flare-up. But hey, you know, one plus side of being awake all night is it's great for creativity. It reminds me of that book that I was reading about your subversive night self. My night self came out and I wrote a whole bunch of stuff down. I remember things, oh Chanel, you went to book a dentist checkup like 4 months ago and you still haven't made that phone call. So everything that I have not done was dredged up from the abysses of my memory. And also I was on Goodreads, just finding books to read, finding books that are available from my library immediately. So I've already got a whole stack of audiobooks lined up. I'm going to start with a real short one, and then hopefully as I wake up after I've had breakfast, we'll go on to the next one. I'm struggling to keep my eyes open. This is awful. Sorry, I'm subjecting you guys to this. If, you know, normal person would have some caffeine and that would pep them up, but if I have coffee right now, I will be destroyed. I cannot do it when I'm already in this sort of adrenal state. So maybe a turmeric latte, you know, and some oats and fruits. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I will be listening, and I probably will not touch base with you until the end of the day. There's no point. I may as well just do one big wrap up of everything I listened to during my work day, and then hopefully read some physical books this evening. But that's everything I've got to update you for now, guys. Okay, guys, so I thought I would update you on what I have listened to thus far while I've been working all morning. So I've done 4 hours of listening, and this is spread over all of the following books. There was a lot of dnfs, let me tell you. So the first one is Everything Feels Like the End of the World. So this is sort of dystopian short stories set in Australia in the not so distant future, in an Australia that has been ravaged by climate change. They were, hello baby, hello baby. There wasn't anything exciting about it, nothing out of the ordinary. It was just some Aussies who were, you know, thinking, is it worth bringing children into this world? How are our crops going to go this year? Pretty much very mundane things just set in a future less fertile country. But there was nothing happening. There was just nothing happening. It was all just ponderings and musings of these characters. So I was like, meh, this is feeling like 3 at best. You know, I'm here for a interesting story, not just people talking about how shit the world is. So yeah, no. And then I picked up Hooked. Okay, so I knew this is probably not going to be for me. And boy, oh boy, the cringe was strong with this one. This is a dark romance, a loose retelling of Peter Pan, Hook and Wendy. And you've got Peter Pan, he's a bad boy, guys. He's a bad boy. He kills his own uncle in the opening scene, and he keeps talking about how much he loves killing and he loves spilling blood. And he's always talking about how hard his cock is. I can't. But basically, he sees Wendy, who's the daughter of his nemesis, and he's like, I must defile her. That's how I'm going to get back at her daddy. I'm going to bang his kid and bring her back messed up. And I'm just, oh, I couldn't keep going. So much talk of cum being spilled. I couldn't take it seriously. It's a bit of a comedy for me. So I did DNF that one also.
And then I picked up Northwind. So this was a short book and I did listen to this one in full. So yay, I finally finished a book. I like the cover once again with this one, very cute. It's very much giving Life of Pi. So you've got a boy and his boat and the will to survive. Basically an illness, a disease decimates his entire village. The elder quickly gets him on a boat with another young boy in a canoe really and tells him, go son, go north, survive. Unfortunately, the younger boy does not survive, so he has to dispose of the young boy's body. He has to try and eat. There's a lot of observations with this young man. I was very much getting the following quote from Bruce Lee as the main sort of message of this book. And he was just trying to adapt to his surroundings and flow with nature. So there was a lot of animal observations going on. So lots of bears and ravens and dolphins and whales. They were repeated because that was what was in his habitat, his wilderness. And yeah, he's just very quiet journey after surviving something horrific and starting anew and figuring out how to be in the world and what's best for him. So it was fine. I've given it 3.25 stars. Then I picked up Queen Bee. This is pretty much Regency era Gossip Girl. It was too young for me. As about a young girl who is getting revenge.
Metals can be melted by the heat of revenge.
It's revenge, and it's best served cold.
But it can be easily reheated in the microwave of evil.
On her former best friend, and has supposedly got herself a new look, glowed up in Regency era, but no one can recognize her. It's been 3 years, from 16 to 19. Yeah, look, I couldn't with this one. I think this is just supposed to be a fun, easy breezy time. But I don't know, I prefer my Regency to have a little bit more seriousness to it and be aged up. Even though she is 19, it was still skewed young. So I did DNF that one as well. And then the final DNF for this little portion here is The Summer of Broken Rules. I only picked it up because my 12-year-old saw it at a bookstore and wanted to buy it. And I'm like, I don't know about that. So I started listening to it and, yeah. So you've got a main character whose sister died the previous summer, I guess, and now her cousin's getting married and all the family's joining for the marriage, but the dead sister is repeatedly brought up, like over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, this is a bummer, guys. This is like bumming me out. I came here I get romance, romance. And no, I'm just being told, oh, the dead sister loved doing that. Oh, that person looks like the dead sister. This was the dead sister's favorite game. And I'm like, okay, no. It's like, if you're going to Bernie's at Weekend It, then dig up her corpse and bring it with you. That will make this more exciting. So I DNF that as well. I don't know what I'm going to pick up next, audiobook wise. I've still got work to do, but I actually have a headache from 5 hours of sitting at my desk staring at the screen. So I need to take a break. Normally I stop for lunch, but I worked through it because that's some self-care right there. So the 2 physical books I currently have, I do need to go to the library. I'm not doing that today. We've got this one here, Mania. What if calling someone stupid was illegal? So this is a sort of dystopian book. And I don't know, John Cleese, what is this called? Is it blurbed it? I don't know. What is it called when somebody else does this? Puts a little thing up the top. Is it blurbed? Blurbed it? I don't know. John Cleese did it, so maybe it's funny. And I've got this one, The Autoimmune Cure. So this is just all about the autoimmune system. I've read her previous book, so I don't know if this is going to be rehashing the same thing. If it is, I'll probably DNF it. But we'll see if it's got any new information or if it's just all about... But it does say it focuses on trauma and other triggers instead of, I guess, maybe physiological reasons for autoimmune conditions. So we'll see. But I'll pick something to listen to while I'm sitting in the car waiting for my child at school pickup. I don't think I'm going to get the readathon done in 2 days because I am also going out tomorrow. So it might be a 5-day total 24-hour readathon. And I think I really do have to plan these better when maybe my kids are going away and I have no plans when I know I'm just going to be sitting at home. And then I will knock it out in 2 days, easy peasy. But that's everything thus far. Okay, so I've just started listening to You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, and I'm enjoying it. It started off with a scene where the main character, Faye, is having sex in a nightclub bathroom with a guy. It's a choice, but you find out very quickly that this is the first time for her in 5 years since her partner died. So she's sort of processing the weight of that in that scene. So it's quite sad. And then you have that juxtapositioned with the actual sex scene and other choices that are made regarding that sex. And then her chatting to her friend outside the club. Fucking hilarious. Their exchange, I was dying. I was laughing my ass off. So I am enjoying it. She's just currently met a friend of the guy that she's been casually having sex with, and there seems to be some kind of frisson between them. But I've listened to an hour of the audiobook, so half an hour, because I'm listening at double speed, and I'm going to keep going on with this one. Good morning, guys. So I will put up the total tally of all of the hours and pages that I read yesterday on Monday up here. I did do some more reading in the evening. So I did pick up The Autoimmune Cure by Dr. Sarah Salz Gottfried, and I did enjoy it. It's not really teaching me anything new. I've read a lot of books about autoimmune diseases and also about how trauma affects the body. So I think the most famous one of those being The Body Keeps Score. It's not just about what you eat or the pharmaceuticals you take or your environment. It's about things that affect your heart and your mind and your soul, and how that can also tend to perhaps exacerbate health issues. I do believe that some of our illnesses and diseases do stem perhaps from trauma, from emotional or psychological distress. Like stress, for example, we know that unequivocally does impact the body negatively in some ways if it is chronic stress. So I did enjoy the part on this. This I would say this is a blend of Western medicine. So they do talk about obviously the conditions and the medical reasons and pharmaceuticals and that sort of thing, but it also probably leans more heavily towards the alternative therapies angle. I did enjoy the part about using formerly illegal drugs to help people with trauma and how that affects their actual health. So using things like psilocybin, MDMA, LSD, all of those kinds of things. I believe, cannabis, like all of those kinds of things, and how some people can benefit from using those and how they have a positive impact on health. But they also did list all the things that could be detrimental with taking those. So not everyone reacts to things the same way, just like with pharmaceutical drugs. There are side effects, same with ones in nature or these previously illegal drugs. Like everyone's different. As you know, psilocybin worked for me immensely with my trauma, depression, suicidal ideation, all those things. It reset my brain completely. And I do believe it benefited me physically as well. So my chronic health conditions are nowhere near as bad as they were before I did psilocybin. And I think it's just because I am far less triggered. My anxiety is far less triggered. My OCD is diminished. I'm not depressed. I don't have suicidal ideations and that anymore. So it did completely change my life and improve my physical health. Obviously, I'm still, I still have daily life stresses that happen, emotional heartbreak. I might, go weeks eating nothing but cookies, chips, and chocolate, and all of those things will affect my chronic health conditions. But my brain, which was affecting them the most, is now no longer a major player thanks to psilocybin. So I did enjoy those chapters. I'm not going to rate it. It's not something I can rate because, once again, a lot of the information was new, but it was just a good refresher for me. And then I picked up Mania by Lionel Shriver. And I did read, how much did I read of this? Like 60, I read about 65 pages of it. And this is basically, instead of Idiocracy, the movie, meet Mediocrity. This is a satirical dystopia novel where there is now intelligence equality. So basically everyone must be treated as though they had the same level of intelligence. Words like dumb, stupid, idiot are now considered slurs and are punishable and will get you cancelled or expelled. Everyone passes everything. There are no longer prestigious universities because you can go wherever you want. Anyone can be a doctor. There is no, what's the word? There is no discriminating anymore about your ability. You can't discriminate against anyone. Anyone can get any job, dudes. The issue I had with this was all conversational discourse between characters. There was very little world building, little plot happening, very little character development. It just felt like it should have been a book of of essays, perhaps, on this topic, on, I guess, what they're alluding to is woke culture and cancellation and all that sort of thing, rather than a fictional story. It just didn't work. You're just sitting there listening to these two friends going back and forth with conflicting views, obviously, about what's going on. And it wasn't entertaining to me. I didn't find it funny, and I was just getting aggravated because obviously it's satire. It's stupid. The premise is ridiculous, that you can no longer use any of these words. Like her son was threatened expulsion because some kid was wearing a top that said, if you're so smart, why aren't you smart? And he said that t-shirt is stupid. So he wasn't even calling the boy that, he said it about the t-shirt, but cancelled. And for instance, like books, My Brilliant Friend, no, that's been pulled from the shelves because it has the word brilliant in there. So it's not just the negative connotations. You can't be calling people smart or brilliant. So all of these books are being pulled. There are no game shows anymore because there can't be winners. Like Jeopardy doesn't exist. You can't do anything that is braggy about your intellectual accomplishments whatsoever. So no one is it's just participation awards for everybody across the board. But like I said, it just wasn't doing anything for me. I was bored, so I did decide to DNF it. In regards to the audiobook, You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. Oh my God, this book, bro. Okay, so I don't know if I like Faye as a character. She's making some questionable decisions. In the beginning, you sort of excused it based on the grief processing and trauma that she's endured. So I'm 2 hours into it. And it starts with her banging this guy named Milan casually in a nightclub, and they had a bit of a, little tryst thing going on. And then she meets his friend, I think his name is Nasir, and decides, I'm going to start something with him. So she goes from the friend to the friend. So she's dating him. They haven't yet boinked, but they're sort of actually developing a relationship. He's taken her home to meet his dad. His dad is a world famous chef celebrity. The second she sees daddy, she's like, yes, please. And she is thirsting. She is thirsting for the daddy. And she's called her friend, and her friend and her, turns out they used to eat each other out. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's not something that I have done with my best friends, but okay. But even her friend is saying, girl, like, I know you're a hoe, but even like, this is too much hoeing. Like, chill, just bang the son. Forget about the dad. Like, you've gone from the friend to the friend. You're not going to go from the guy now from the son to the father. Like, but it seems like that's what she wants to do. She can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. So we're just in her head as she is absolutely ogling and desiring this older man. And it makes me feel yuck. I'm like, okay, you've already, basically she's just playing dick leapfrog at this point. And I'm like, can you pick another pond to get wet in, please? Like, you've done enough in this one. Let's not make it any further. Let's not ruin this relationship, because this guy, Nasir, and his dad, they have such a beautiful relationship. And I'm like, oh, don't that shit up for them, please. You know what I mean? I'm like, just find somebody else then. If the son is not enough to keep your attention, that you are drooling after the father, then obviously the son isn't for you. If your attention is straying, that's not the right fit. But don't then go for the dad. Like, just please, just go somewhere else. Do not leave such a path of destruction in your wake because of your fiery loins, So I don't know where this is going. I'm going to give it a little bit more of a benefit of the doubt. I'm hoping that this is not the storyline that develops, but if she does end up just sleeping with the dad, I'm out. It's not my kind of romance. And this isn't my kind of romance either, like the way that she's progressed to her love interest. But I was enjoying the writing style, and it was funny. And there were some poignant parts about how you deal with grief even years on from the fact, and how it's not just, oh, you're healed now. It's just you're constantly brought back under by certain things. But yeah, but her choices, I don't know. So we'll do a little bit more of it. I am going out today. There's no way I'm going to finish the 24 hours today. It's just not going to happen. I've got a busy day. So I will continue this on to tomorrow, and hopefully tomorrow I can absolutely finish it off. I was looking through all the books I've read so far for this one, and it is just a bunch of DNFs, isn't it, guys? There's a lot of DNFing, but I'm not mad about that because those books would not get more than 3 stars anyway. There's no point. I think literally the best book that I've read so far is Northwind. So hopefully we can change that. I am going to the library today to pick up some more books because I would like some physical ones to read. I've just gotten a NetGalley arc in, and I think that's what I'll pick up on my e-reader when I go to the cafe. So I'll put a picture up here of what it is, and hopefully that one delivers. But for sure, with all these books I'm bound to read in the 24-hour range, there will be a fantastic one for sure, right? Like the probability, there'll be one that's 4 stars and above. I'll do my best to make sure that happens, but I will see you guys when I return. Okay, so just got back. I started reading, is it called This Fatal Kiss? Something like that. The book's up here. It's an arc from NetGalley, and it's about a Rizolka. So it's normally the folklore to do with that is a woman who's been killed and wants vengeance. Like it's women who meet like violent ends and they cannot pass on because they're filled with so much righteous anger. And they become these kind of water nymphs that are meant to, you know, drown men. And this particular one, Gisela, wants to be human again. And she's just learned that if she can get a human boy to kiss her without asking him to, she'll get her humanity back. So she's on a quest in the town trying to get boys to kiss her, and there's a town exorcist that is not having it, and he's finally caught and bound her, and that's where we're at the moment. But so far so good. Like Gisela is a bit of a morally grey character, let's just put it that way. So I will continue on with that once I get to sit down, but I've got to get into work now. So I'll be back to the audiobook. And like I said, with You've Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, if she does go down the path of actively flirting with the dad, I'm going to have to end it. We're at a point where she's just alone with him by the pool, and she just can't stop thinking about how sexy this man is, and he's not like other men. And I just don't like it. I just don't like it. So we'll see how we go with that. Good morning, guys. I don't know about you guys, but I am neither an early bird or a night owl. I'm definitely a middle magpie. My peak hours of energy are 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's when I'm on. So first thing in the mornings, I know I've got my top on backwards. So why is it itchy? Why is it choking my neck? Because I don't like to have things on my neck because of my thyroid. Oh my God. All right, give me a moment. Okay, that's better. So I did actually get a lot of reading done yesterday. I decided, Chanel, just take the evening off and read. And that's what I did. So I've only got 9 hours to do today, and I think I can do it. I think I can. So I have started pretty much 3 books. So I've started The Writing Retreat, which is a horror thriller, horror. And it's a bunch of women at a writer's retreat held by an eccentric author. And 2 of the women, so you've got the main character who had a falling out with her best friend, and lo and behold, her former best friend is also at the writing retreat. So you're finding out about their history. And once again, it was former besties who ate each other out. Is this a thing that you do with your friends now, with your girlies? But it's the writing retreat has turned a bit cutthroat. Basically, they have to do a certain number of pages every single day or they get kicked out. And at the end of it, whoever's book the eccentric author who's hosting likes, whoever the host likes gets published. So that's what's going on. In the synopsis, it does say that women start getting murdered. Look, I think this is one of those books you do have to suspend your disbelief because it's feeling a bit silly. Even the characters themselves, it's feeling like something you'd watch on the TV, something that's very dramatized and not really set in reality. So I'm just going along with it. It's fine. It's an audiobook. I do think I will be finishing less books overall because I can't listen to audio as fast as I can read. It's significantly slower. The most I can do on an audio is 2 2 times speed, but even then I normally slow it back down. Otherwise I feel rushed. Like it stresses me out, so I have to slow it down. I normally do about 1.5 speed is my sweet point. So I'm listening to that. I have also started, I'll go grab it, Anatomy, a love story. How far in am I? I'm on page 82. And I'm actually enjoying it so far. Look, I have read a lot of stories kind of like this, where you have a aristocratic daughter who wants to be a surgeon and they're told her, no. This is for men and men only. And she's like, but no, I want to slice and dice. And then in this case, she has a fiance who said he was going to let her and has now turned around and said, well, I made that promise when we were children and we're not children anymore. And she's just doing it anyway. She's going, and paying dodgy boys to let her into the bleachers of these surgery classes. And she's about to start paying resurrectionists to dig up cadavers for her to experiment on. There does seem to be some sort of magical element going on, because in the beginning, 2 of the resurrectionists are beset upon by these ominous dudes, and they did cut one of the boys and do something to his blood. So I don't know when that's going to come back into play. It hasn't yet, but I am liking it, and I'm still going on with this Fatal Kiss, and I'm actually really enjoying that one. Like, that's a fun time. The cover is so pretty, so pretty. So I've got those. I don't know if that's going to do the 9 hours for me or not. If it doesn't, I've got some other arcs from NetGalley that came in. I don't know why I do this to myself. Now's not the time for me to read arcs, but I went on to see what was available. And because I got my rating back up to like a 95%, I got approved. So I do have to only apply for arcs if I've got nothing else to read. And it's like, that's what I want at that time, because sometimes the approval is immediate. And then I have this pressure that I just put on myself. I just put it on myself to get my rating back up. So if I have more time left, I will put one of those in the mix, but I'm not sure. I think I might, because I think I've got like 6 hours still to go on the audiobook alone. And even if I did that double speed, that's 3 hours. And then this will probably take me to, I'm reading a lot slower at the moment because I've got like, and you can tell I'm not that well. I'm not that well. I've got a lot of brain fog. So I might actually end up getting to the arcs. We'll see. Or I might just be reading as slow as a snail today. That could happen too. But that's all that's happening. I'm staying home. I'm doing my work. I don't know how much work I'm going to do. I'm not up to sitting at the computer today. And I get, I've done too much desk work lately. And I'm getting, what's the called carpal tunnel, like pain, RSI in my mouse hand, but I'm rambling. I'll see you guys once I have finished a book. Okay, so I just finished listening to The Writing Retreat, which is just a bunch of women shacked up in a remote cabin, hooking up with each other, writing stories, and then getting killed one by one. So I've given it 2.75 stars. I have a pet peeve. I cannot, when a character knows they're going to die, they know they're going to die, and yet when they are presented with multiple opportunities to kill their captors, they don't take them. I just get so angry. It reminds me of The Menu, okay? When you've got all those people at the restaurant and they know that they're going to die, they are going to be killed, and yet they don't all decide to bum rush the captors and just try. Just try, just try. What's certain death faced with possible death? And they're all picking certain death. I don't get it. It's like, do you not have any survival instincts whatsoever? And this book just had that repeatedly. And I'm like, I can't. You all deserve to die. Like, you had a chance and you didn't take it, and you didn't take it again, and you didn't take it again. What are you doing? What are you doing? This person's going to kill you. You're not going to live. Kill them. So I didn't love it. There was a lot of sapphic sex scenes in there, and they weren't hot, They weren't hot. So, hey, Sylvie. What you doing, Sylvie? Sylvie. Even Sylvie doesn't like it. So 2.75, unfortunately for me. I will read the rest of the books this evening, and I will probably let you know how they went tomorrow, and that'll be it for my readathon. Hello, hello, hello. So we are finally coming to the end of this 24, I've got two cats, double handing it. This 24-hour reading blog. What a doozy. How many days? How many days? Delusional Chanel thought she could do it in 3 days with a busy social calendar. No, she could not. She was mistaken. So I did manage to finish a couple more off in the 24 hours. So let's get to it. So the next book that I was reading at the time was Anatomy, a Love Story. And I did end up giving this one a 3 stars. So basically a rich girl aspires to be a surgeon and falls in love with her corpse dealer whilst people are being harvested for their limbs and organs. So there's sort of a mystery going around of what's happening to these people. This really was, I think, meant to be a romance. It literally says a love story and it's got a picture of a heart on there. I didn't buy the romance. It was very insta-lovey. I didn't feel anything about them. She was already engaged, so there is a bit of infidelity going on, and I don't enjoy that, you know? It's just pick a dude. But yeah, for me, their romance was very bland and very tepid. I also found the pacing quite slow in this one, and the plot was really messy. There was a lot of things going on. There definitely was magic at play. I can't talk about that without giving it away, but it was just a bit odd. It was a little convoluted, you know? I love the setting though. The setting was great. I do enjoy, in general, books about women from that time period wanting to be surgeons and buck the gender norms. And whilst this had potential, it ended up being very mid. So I definitely will not be continuing the series. And I'm surprised so many people go nuts over this romance. Wasn't really anything to write home about, honestly. The next book I picked up was an ARC from NetGalley called House of Frank. Really love the cover. So I'll tell you what they say that this is about. It's a warm and hopeful story of a lonely witch consumed by grief who discovers a whimsical cast of characters in a magical arboretum and the healing power of found family. So this is supposed to be a very cozy fantasy. And that's what I was hoping it was going to be, you know, with a cast of quirky characters, you know, centered on sort of the themes of grief. However, the reason that I gave this 2.75 stars is because I hated every character in this book. The main character especially. They were just so rude and argumentative. All of the characters were just constantly at each other's throats and sniping at each other, and it was yuck. Everyone was selfish and honestly awful. Found dysfunctional family, guys. There was just, yeah, so much judgmental attitudes and aggressiveness in this book that I was not enjoying, especially because it was meant to be cozy and focused on grief. And look, the main character does constantly talk to her dead sister in her head, and I get that that's probably meant to be sort of an emotional ploy to get you to feel the depth of the grief, but for me it was just incredibly off-putting and it felt facetious. There was also a romance in this that was just utterly unappealing and toxic. Did not like their dynamic. It was sapphic. Yeah, and I just had a very visceral reaction to the characters in this. It's gotten a lot of great ratings, but for me, I could not get past the nasty cast, which was why I rated it a 2.75. But I guess what's the plot of the story? The main character, Seika, lost her sister and has come after 5 years to finally bury her ashes at this place that her sister wished to be buried, where they put the ashes in the ground and they grow a tree from it. And she ends up staying on. She's a witch who's having trouble with her powers because of a deal she made. And yeah, it was all over the shop, guys. It really was. So that was House of Frank. But I'm ending this vlog with my first 5-star of June. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! This Fatal Kiss. Loved it. 5 stars. Literally, the cover too. Like, just the cover. The cover is gorgeous. Can that artist do more covers, please? But this book was fantastic. This is the first time I have ever read a book where there is a group of 3 main characters and polyamory is at play. They're all bisexual, and I was actually okay with them being a threesome. Look, there is one couple that I stand more than the 3 of them together, or the other combinations. But I thought, if it goes that way, I'm cool with it, you know? Like, look at my monogamous heart being open to a poly love fest in a book and being like, yeah, that makes me just as happy. But I loved all the characters in this. I loved the setting and the really lush look. I think I do really have a soft spot for Slavic folktale retellings. That seems to be my absolute winner in terms of mythological retellings. I love Greek mythologies the most in general. Never read a single Greek mythology retelling that I like. However, all of the Slavic folklore retellings, I absolutely adore them. But yeah, I love this. Like I said, you've got morally grey main character. She's a bit of a shit stirrer. I didn't mind it at all. I loved her banter with the exorcist Kazakh, and then the handsome guy that they're both crushing on. Oh, I think his name is Alexei. He's got his own situation going on. Like I said, I loved the characters in this. I loved all of the creatures and the monsters, and once again, it's subverting that whole thing that, you know, because you're born a monster, you are monstrous. Whereas what is nature, what is choice, and all of those sorts of discussions come into play. Good versus evil and all that's in between. And sometimes even monsters have hearts, guys. But I loved all of it. So it's got the small town vibes. It's got that fairy tale folklore feel to it as well. So there's a coziness there. Like I said, the interplay with all of the relationships. There's multiple relationships here. It's a very queer book though. Like I said, all the main top 3 characters are bisexual. But I loved everything about it. I thoroughly enjoyed my time. I sped through it. And it's not a short book. How long is this? 384 pages, so decent. It ends in a satisfying way, but it does sort of set up a sequel, which I will read. I will definitely read. It's YA. I wish this had been adult. Oh, if this had been adult, ooh, how juicy, how delicious, how scrumptious already. Even for YA, you know, it was a little bit naughty. Not in terms of the sexual stuff, just the flirting. The flirting was, you know, up there. But there was still a little bit of something. You know, there was a little bit of kissing going on, a little bit of, oh, you know, my nipples are showing through this wet see-through chemise. But man, if this had been adult, oh, yes, please, can the next one be adult, please? Please, thank you. If it's not, I'm still going to read it. Because like I said, I really, really loved it. So I'm so happy to already have a 5-star in June. And I dare say this is probably in my top 5 of this year. I just had such a great time. So let's recap all of the books. I'll put up a thing here too, the final day tally of how many hours I read for, what I got completed. Yeah, this was probably my least successful 24-hour reading vlog, in that it was chock full of DNFs, and because I had to work, most of them were also audiobooks, and they take far longer for me to get through than if I was reading the books physically. I think I generally in a 24-hour readathon will read in at least 11 books, but this time around, a bit different, but let's go through them. I think there were 16 books in total. So we've got The New Me, which I DNF'd, Nayra and the Djinn, which I think I would probably give around a 3-star rating. Synching handbook, which was fine. Nothing amazing because I've read so much on the topic already, but it was fine. Wifedom, which was a DNF. Happily Never After, which was another DNF. Everything Feels Like the End of the World. DNF. Hooked. Oh, big DNF, bro. Big time. Not for me. Northwind, which I ended up giving a 3.25. Beautiful cover. Mania. DNF. The Summer of Broken Rules. A big bummer DNF. Queen Bee. DNF. You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. DNF. But look, guys, like, I read half of this. Some of these DNFs were over the 50% mark, which is a lot. You know, if you're reading 150 pages, that's almost a book in itself, really. The Writing Retreat should have DNF. That was a 2.75. Going forward, I can't do thrillers where it's a bunch of people against a killer and they won't kill so as not to be killed. I can't handle that. It makes me angry. I'm like, take the shot, Brenda. Then we had Anatomy over here, which was a 2.75. House of Frank, another 2.75. This was a vlog of mostly 2.75, so the books I read in full. But then we finished it with His Fatal Kiss, which was 5 stars. Yes, thank you. Please, please, please. Yes, yes, more, more, more. Love that one. So that was everything for this first, I think this is the first one of June, is it? I don't know. Time is weird now. I've been doing this for so long. But until next time, stay wild, star child.